I think that, as a keynote, that hit the mark beautifully. If you are busy contemplating or designing a CIEM strategy for your business, I think you've given an awesome recipe in terms of the challenges, the opportunities, the maturity phases, and thank you for that. I think our audience will benefit materially from that. I'd like to just hand over to Johann now. So I'm sure he'll pick up on it in terms of now from a product perspective, and then position that relative to the points that you were making in terms of CIM being an architecture and a strategy rather than merely a product. But Johann, if you can take us through the identity server from a WSO2 perspective, please.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Can you hear me loud and clear?
I can. And do we have your screen?
I shared my screen.
Yeah.
Hope you can see. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. So the objective of my session is basically to follow up on what Prabhat has just talked about, give you an overview of the product, and talk about kind of reiterate on what Prabhat was explaining as our vision, and then look at our roadmap in terms of how we are going to achieve that vision. So my name is Johann Nallathamby. I am a solutions architect in the WSO2 IAM business unit of WSO2. Yeah. So the WSO2 Identity and Access Management product is the #1 open source IAM product in the market right now for customer identity and access management. So we have comprehensive capabilities around identity federation, strong customer authentication, adaptive access control, and API security. One of the key strengths of the Identity and Access Management product, WSO2 Identity and Access Management product, is its unique extensibility. So this feature actually comes in very useful when we are going to build that require business use cases. So let me give you a very quick brief about the product capabilities. So I will not go into a lot of detail, but I will try to keep it as brief as possible just to introduce you to the product. So the first and foremost feature I would like to talk about is the identity federation and single sign-on capability. Because with any organization, as they onboard on their journey of IAM, they would start by integrating their applications and systems and mobile applications with a centralized IAM system to authenticate their users and provide access to various on-premises and cloud systems. So this is what we call identity federation. And as a result of identity federation being centralized to a IAM solution, such as WSO2, we get the single sign-on. In order to do this identity federation, there are various industry standards, such as SAML2 single sign-on, OpenID Connect, WS Federation, and CAS. So WSO2 Identity Server supports all these well-known standards in the industry. We also have the capability of identity bridging. So what identity bridging is, the WSO2 Identity Server can, in fact, authenticate its users by itself. So when I say by itself, it can use various authentication mechanisms like username, password, SMS, OTP, etc. But at the same time, it can integrate, or we call it identity federation, federate with third-party and partner and customer identity providers. So this is what we call basically federated identity management. So what this allows you to do is allow your customers or your partners to use their existing identities in order to gain access to your applications instead of creating duplicate identities in your organization. So in doing this bridging, Identity Server can support protocol translation. That is, the applications and the IDPs at your partner or your customer may not be supporting the same protocol. So Identity Server, being the bridge of this federation, could do the protocol translation for you, as well as in an identity federation, we exchange information. So we exchange user attributes, or we call it user claims. We exchange user groups, user roles. So these are identified by their names. Unfortunately, not all the organizations or all the standards, that for that matter, follow the same naming convention. So therefore, we need a capability to translate these claims, roles, and groups, and that can be done by the Identity Server for you. Then we can also do different mechanisms of authentication. So like I said before, we can do a knowledge-based authentication, such as username, password, PIN, challenge questions. We can do a possession-based authentication. We can do SMS OTP, email OTP, mobile authenticator applications. We can do FIDO to passwordless authentication, certificates-based authentication, and many more authentication mechanisms. When it comes to identity provisioning and administration, Identity Server can integrate with your existing or new directories that you want to have to store your users. It can also support various onboarding workflows for your users. So for example, we can support like simple user creation by administrator, or we can support a self-registration flow with either email or mobile number verification, or both. We can support a just-in-time provisioning workflow if the users are federating, like I said before, from your partner IDPs, or like a social IDP like Facebook or Google. You can just-in-time create an account for those users without any administrator involvement. We can do outbound provisioning to other target applications while you're provisioning the user in Identity Server. And we can also extend this by integrating with our very own enterprise integrator and WSO2 business process server to extend the identity provisioning and the approvals or the workflow capabilities during these identity provisioning workflows. Under authorization, we support the traditional role-based authorization. Then going a bit more fine-grained, we can support permission-based authorization and also attribute-based authorization using XACML 3.0 architecture. Then modern organizations, all of them require APIs and microservices in some form. And API security and microservices security are a hot topic these days. So in that front, we support many standards, especially the OAuth 2.0 core standard, then the extended profiles of OAuth 2.0, and the OpenID Connect suite of standards that are built on OAuth 2.0. Then the UMA 2.0 standard, which is built on top of both of these standards, OAuth 2 and OpenID Connect. So WSO2 Identity Server, in fact, supports this entire suite of specifications, very comprehensive support for APIs and microservices security. And then when it comes to customer IAM, consent and privacy are key features that are required. So any data that your organization collects from your customers, any data that you store, and any data that you share with other applications, especially third-party applications, you have to make sure that the users are giving their consent, and this consent has to be very fine-grained, and it has to be time-bound as well. and at any point the user should be able to go and review his consents, and also be able to revoke these consents if he believes the application is misusing his consent. So this is an overall brief of the features in the product. So this is one of the important elements in the product which I mentioned, that is the open architecture. So this diagram depicts one of the most important components or the frameworks in our product, which is the Identity Federation and Access Control Framework. This is the framework that is used when an application interacts with the identity server and user authenticates with the identity server, etc. And also on the right-hand side, you have the provisioning framework. So you can see each of these layers in these frameworks are pluggable extension points. So based on your unique business requirement, if the out-of-the-box capability is not sufficient, then you can extend the very specific aspect of the product in order to fulfill your business requirement. So you don't need to customize the entire product, but you can extend the very specific aspect of the product in order to minimize the customizations for your business use cases. And using this framework, there are many connectors and plugins that we've written, WSO2 internal developers as well as the community have written and contributed. So these connectors span a wide variety of extension points. For example, authentication connectors, provisioning connectors, identity proofing connectors, identity stores, various OAuth 2 security profiles, etc. So these are some of the examples of our connectors, and there are more than 50 connectors in our WSO2 connector store. Also, another connector recently we've got is for the SIEM integration with Splunk. So the identity server natively publishes its events to third-party systems. So in order to integrate with a product like Splunk, we just need to write a connector to capture the already published data and push it into Splunk by integrating with Splunk APIs. So these are out-of-the-box data that is published by identity server that we just need to push it to Splunk and create these charts, graphs, and tables. Being a CIM leader, we need to be able to brand our end user facing pages based on the organization requirements. So identity servers end user pages all come white labeled so that you can easily brand these pages according to your requirements. In addition to branding, we can also support internationalization and localization. And the branding is made so simple especially in the very latest version of the product, that you can you don't need to meddle with any of the business logic in these applications, but you can simply replace the CSS HTML components and do your customizations, which we call sub-theming, by the way. So these are some examples of our actual customer deployments who are rebranding the WSO2 pages to fit their organization requirements. So now let me talk about some of the latest developments that we've done in our last 2 releases. So we've done developments, improvements in 4 areas. So under developer experience, we've introduced a React.js based user portal, which we also call the self-care portal, which succeeds the older Jaggery based user portal. As I mentioned, we introduced the sub-theming capability for easily applying your themes and applying UI level customizations. A new config model, which we call deployment.toml. So this is a single configuration file to configure the entire WSO2 product in a single file. So earlier we had a configuration spread across multiple XML files. Now we've made it simpler to configure it using just one file. We are moving away from Confluence based documentation, and we move to GitHub based documentation to be more modern and follow the trend, the developer based approach. all the product REST APIs have now been converted to, the older SOAP APIs have now been converted to REST APIs for easier integration. In terms of user experience, we've introduced the most sought after FIDO 2.0 passwordless authentication. We have introduced cross-protocol global logout so that you can log out from one application and you can rest assured you can be logged out from all the applications globally, respective of the protocol that they support. We've given first-class support for mobile, the mobile phones or mobile numbers as a second factor verification channel when you are doing self-registration or profile updates. And also we've increased the usage of Google reCAPTCHA in various identity management flows in order to detect and prevent the bot attacks. In terms of IAM standards, which is always evolving, in the last couple of releases, we've introduced the SAML2 front channel logout, improvements around OpenID Connect logout, OpenID Connect Federation, JWK's endpoint, and scope management and SCIM2 pagination. In terms of the DevOps experience, we've improved the observability aspects of the product, and there are many more aspects in the DevOps experience that we are in the process of improving, targeting to our future CIAM solution. So this is just an example of the self-care portal. As I said, this is a single page application based on React, and it provides you the easy theming and customization capabilities that you want. So going to our vision, so these are two quotes extracted from Gartner's report. So Gartner basically says that the current commercial solutions that are available fall short in providing a sophisticated CIAM solution to meet requirements of user experience, compliance, privacy, and fraud detection. So this is one of the key drivers why the industry is looking at a developer-friendly or a developer-focused CIAM solution that empowers the developers. So as Prabhat mentioned, I will reiterate, the WSO2 recognizes CIAM as not just a one-off event, rather a journey. So CIAM projects don't end in like 6 months or 1 year. They tend to go on beyond a year, go on till about 3 to 5 years. You continuously get new requirements, new applications being onboarded, new channels that you need to open, new new security requirements that are mandated by the industry, the vertical, or the competition out there. So your CIAM solution is always evolving, and there is no solution out there in the market, commercial solution out there in the market, that is like a one-stop solution for all your CIAM requirements, and especially to cater to your unique business requirements. So it's always a hybrid between a commercial off-the-shelf product and a product that's developed internally, application that is developed internally in your business that caters to your business. So we identify that CIAM developers are the most important participants in this journey, and we have taken up the vision of enabling, empowering these CIAM developers in order to become the #1 developer-focused CIAM solution in the market. So when we look at a CIAM solution, this is the broad portfolio of the CIAM functionality. CIAM basically addresses two sub segments of use cases. One we call business to business, and the other is the business to consumer. So in both of these segments, basically you have 4 key areas that we identify. Identity management. So identity management is all about how you're going to integrate your directories, onboard your users, manage the life cycles of the users, manage organizations, that is organizations in the sense your custom organizations, how you're going to provision users to external applications, progressive profiling, and password management. Access management is all about how you're going to configure and govern your policies in order to let your users, your customers, access applications in your environment. and also outside your environment. So this is all about identity federation, the claims transformation, single sign-on, global logout, multi-factor authentication, and many other capabilities that I've spoken about. Then we have the portals, which are responsible for the end-user experience. So the developer portal basically offers the experience that is required by the developers who are going to configure these applications, who are going to configure the access control policies, configure the login journeys for the user, etc. Then we have the delegated administration portal, where if you want to do delegated administration and give your customers the rights to administrate their own users, that will need a business portal, which we can call the delegated administration portal, to manage their own users, groups, and entitlements. Then we would have a customer care portal, typically in a call center, where the call center representative would want to do actions on behalf of the customer, or do view customer profiles, or do password changes on the request of customer, etc. Then there is a self-care portal, where the customers themselves can go and do their password management, challenge question management, their security devices management, etc. And then we could also have an access portal, where the customers can discover all the applications that they are entitled to access, and click and access all the applications from a single point with single sign-on enabled. Then, of course, the CXO dashboards, which kind of tells the CXOs how the IAM system and how the applications and the whole investment is kind of function. Then comes the integrations that goes beyond the IAM system and integrates with the entire ecosystem. So in this area, we are looking at integrations with various identity proofing systems, consent and preference management systems, biometrics and security as a service SaaS solutions, risk engines, content management systems, customer relationship systems, and various other customer solutions. And across all of this, we also need to keep in mind the extensibility, the white labeled nature of the UIs, the internationalization, localization, privacy by design and privacy by default, and the flexible deployment options. So what is the future of the WSO2 CIM solution? So as mentioned, our vision, we are trying to be the #1 developer focused CIM solution in the market. And in order to get to our vision, we recognize 3 key elements in our mission. So one is the developer focused, as already mentioned. Secondly, the cloud nativeness or the cloud readiness of the solution to support modern, highly scalable cloud native platforms and architectures. And third, the integrations and partnerships with third-party vendors to build a comprehensive IAM ecosystem. So this is an upcoming product or solution from WSO2. WSO2 is working on its customer developer focused customer identity as a service solution with a new brand name called Asgardio. So this is designed to cater to today's cloud first organizations. It is going to be an integrated CIM solution in the cloud. So it's a one-click solution to all your CIM needs in the cloud. Of course, it's backed by the WSO2 Identity Server. So in terms of timelines, we are looking at pre-sign up starting from September 2020, beta in November 2020, and the GA somewhere around early to 2021. So in terms of our CIM mission and our goal towards Asgardio, we planned our roadmap into 3 phases. So the first phase, which is currently undergoing, is going to be focusing on the API-led integration of the product and the developer focus, improvements in the developer focus, and improvements around the cloud nativeness of the product. In the second phase, of course, it's going to be an extension of some of those aspects in the first phase, And mainly we are going to focus on building partnerships and integrations with other vendors related to the IAM technology and other marketing and data platforms, etc. And of course, in the third phase, it's all going to be about building that integrated CIM solution in the cloud with the um, the results that we've achieved from phase 1 and phase 2. So just to highlight some of the items in this roadmap. So in the phase 1, we are looking at more developer friendliness and cloud friendliness. So in that regard, as I mentioned before, we are developing our portals completely on React. We are developing SDKs. Right now, we've completed SDKs on .NET, JavaScript, and Android, and a few other languages. We are working on a VS Code editor plugin to develop our adaptive authentication scripts and give the debugging capability. Also, the continuous integration and continuous development and deployment, where you can directly edit the scripts in the VS Code editor and then push it to your source repository, and then through a CI/CD pipeline deploy it into development, test, and production. Then we are working on OPA, Open Policy Agent integration, to for fine-grained access control in this authentication flows. Then in terms of improvements around the device management, we are introducing the device authorization grant flow and the client-initiated back-channel authentication. Also improving the push notification-based authentication capabilities. And one of the most important things we are going to do towards the latter part of the year is the decomposition of the identity server application we have right now. So right now we have a monolith application. So we are going to decompose that into some key components, namely the gateway, the service layer, and the various portals, to reduce the footprint of these components and be able to easily start up and easily scale in cloud native architectures. In the second phase, it's going to be an extension of the phase 1. So we will keep on improving our integration with the various systems. Specifically, we will be working on the login journey designer, that is for the users to be able to use some kind of wizard and design their login journeys. Then the consent and preference management for third-party applications, family management, and also be able to support like multi-cloud and hybrid deployments for Identity Server. So I mentioned about the gateway. So one of the hybrid deployments, for example, would be where you can do all the administration and the management of the product in the cloud, but the gateway, the identity gateway, will be running on-premise. So that would mean that all the authentication, authorization, and access control requests will be only interacting with the gateways. So they don't need to go to the cloud. So this can help you with the compliance requirements, etc. We are looking at various tenancy models, not just a shared tenancy model, but also hybrid tenancy model and private jet. That is, each customer can have its own tenant kind of scenario for like marquee customers. Then the compliance aspects, of course, when it comes to a cloud, we should be compliant with various industry standards and regional requirements, and also should be able to deploy this cloud in various regions based on the requirements. And phase 3, of course, is going to be putting all this together in the CIM cloud as a solution. So that will contain integrations with consent and preference management systems, marketing solutions, data management platforms, CMS systems, and even blockchain systems. So that is like a high level overview of our roadmap. I think this would give you an idea of what is our mission and where we are heading towards, and what is coming up in the WSO2 roadmap in the near future. So I would, yeah. So just before ending, so these are some screenshots from our ongoing development. So this is work in progress. So if you're familiar with our administration console that we have right now, these are some this is the successor for that. So this is a React-based portal, which is going to be our new developer portal. We are renaming the admin portal to developer portal. So this is going to be that. Some more screenshots, completely focusing on the user experience. So I would like to end my session with this quote from the very famous Satya Nadella. So basically, regardless of what industry or what business you are in, you have to think about your future in the digital world. So gone are the times where you can easily buy an off-the-shelf product and be happy that your problems are solved, but you should look at your company as an IT organization to tackle the challenges in the ever evolving digital space. So this kind of reiterates that our vision of CIEM is kind of correct, and the CIEM solution will keep on evolving, and developers are one of the important participants in this journey. So our vision is to empower these developers to face the challenges of an ever evolving CIEM solution. Thanks. So if there are any questions, I can take it now, or I can answer it.